Could it be? But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to my wall-to-wall coverage of free agency 2020 in the National Football League. It's been a wild day number one. Obviously, the new league year has not quite started yet, but we've opened up the free agent tampering period, and man, did it open with a bang. We've got so many things to discuss tonight, and here's the kicker. There's plenty more free agents out there. If your team wasn't aggressive or active in day number one of the tampering period, there's plenty more fish out there in the sea. Now, the first day is always the big money items, okay? The big ticket purchases. I talk about this all the time. If you are looking to spend a ton of money, then you go into free agency, guns a-blazing, day number one, and then you'll spend, okay? But if you're looking to find a diamond in the rough, if you're looking to wait till the market settles, then you're looking for day two, day three acquisitions. And even into next week, there'll still be players out there available. I am of the mindset that generally, once you get into the second week of free agency, all of the stuff really worth having is usually gone by then. There's a one or two guys out there still, you're looking around like, what is that guy still doing out there? But for the most part, after you get through the first week of free agency, it's not a lot left out there to be had necessarily. But there's still plenty of quality football players out there that haven't signed. These big top free agents, they set the market, all right? They set the bar. Now all the other guys can fall in line where they fit. So obviously, James Bradberry and the newest New York Giant corner, Byron Jones, James Bradberry is in New York with the Giants, and Byron Jones is now a Miami Dolphin. Those guys were going to be the top two free agent corners. Everyone else is going to fall in line under them. So really, it was a matter of, is Byron Jones going to sign first? And I thought he was going to sign first, but technically, Bradberry agreed to a deal with the Giants first. 3 years, $45 million, 15 a pop. So boom, right there. Jones knew exactly where he needed to go now. Now I need to hit 16 and a half, which is what he did on a 5-year, $82.5 million deal with the Dolphins. So 16 and a half, that's the bar. Now everybody else can fall underneath that. You saw Roby get a deal from the Texans yesterday. So all of the big name corners essentially are gone, and now all the other guys can kind of fall in line and kind of slot where they belong. Same thing with the tackle market. You saw Jack Conklin get the big deal from the Browns. Now everybody else can kind of fall in line. Costanzo went back to Indy. So now all the rest of the guys out on the market can kind of fall in line where they belong. All right. Same with all the other positions that had big names out there. Tight end position, Austin Hooper got a big deal. Now everybody else, you saw Jimmy Graham get his 2-year deal from the Bears. Everybody else going to fall in line. So that's how free agency generally works. And man, it was an entertaining day. Some big trades. All right. The biggest trade of the day, obviously the bombshell of Nuke moving on to Arizona. What the hell are the Texans doing? We never know what the Texans are doing. Bill O'Brien is always up to something, usually up to no good. He did it again. We'll see how it works out for them. They get David Johnson, who's not a scrub. A lot of people act like this man's a bum. I just think that system in Arizona didn't fit him anymore. We'll see if he's got good football left in him. I believe that he does. We'll see how it works out. But you just traded a potential Hall of Fame, a future Hall of Fame wide receiver for a running back that is good, not great in this league anymore. He could get back to that. Remember, once upon a time, just 2 years ago, David Johnson was the number one fantasy football player. Everyone was dying to draft this guy because he was a threat to catch for 1,000 and rush for 1,000. He's what Christian McCaffrey is now. He was 2 years ago. Now he's got to try to find a way to get back to that. So we'll see what happens with that situation. Then it was another massive trade. All right, you had DeForest Buckner, Defoe, heading into Indy now with a massive contract in tow. In exchange, the San Francisco 49ers get the 13th overall pick, a first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. So that was a massive deal. Then there were some lower-tier trades Hayden Hurst. The Falcons lose Austin Hooper, which they knew they were going to in free agency, and they go out and trade for Hayden Hurst from the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about, very briefly, I haven't talked about it a ton, but Calais Campbell traded from Jacksonville to Baltimore. So a lot of lower tier deals being done there with the smaller trades. But the big news of the day, the big two trades, and then you got the Stefon Diggs tweet that's somewhat of a sub. Is he tweeting that to the Vikings organization because he's not pleased with Kirk Cousins coming back on an extension, or does he just want out? Like, what's going on there? So it's just so many things to comb over. Is Phillip Rivers going to end up in Indy? It sounds like it now that they've traded their first round pick. Tom Brady, what was thought to be a robust market with 8 teams interested, is like seriously down to just 2. Tampa and New England. I've said all along, I think he goes back to Tampa. We'll see what happens. But enough of me talking. I'm going to open up the floor to you guys. Want to hear from you guys and what you guys think about all of this chicanery that's going on. So you guys know the rules to the game, but in case you don't, let me go ahead and fill you in. As you can see at the top, you can use Super Chat. That is the #1 way to have your comment read, is to use the Super Chat. That's going to supersede everything else. That's why it's called a Super Chat. Secondly, are the phone lines. And speaking of which, let's open up the phone lines. There's the number on the screen. If we have no more Super Chats, we'll go to the phone lines. Make sure that you have a strong connection. Your volume is up. You know what you want to talk about. You're concise. You get right to the point, and we're able to discuss what you're talking about. And lastly, the chat discussion board. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If there are no Super Chats and there are no calls, we'll get to the comments in the comment section if you use the hashtag LouieTLive. All right, so with that being said, got some Super Chats. Going to read those and get this party started. A lot has transpired in day 1 of free agency, so let's talk. DMV Fan 123 starts us off tonight. Thank you for the Super Chat, DMV 123. He writes, Skins fans already screaming doom after day 1. I knew that was going to happen. I did a video already for you Redskins fans out there that may not have had a chance to check it out. It's a quick video. I just pretty much wanted to make sure you guys weren't going off the deep end already. It's amazing because all of the build-up towards free agency got a lot of Skins fans excited about the prospects of getting their hands on some of these big-name free agents. And I told you guys a couple of times now, I should have been a little bit more upfront and a little bit more forceful with telling you this, but I've mentioned it numerous times that Ron Rivera isn't a very aggressive guy in free agency. It never has been. That hasn't been his MO. And there's something to be said about someone's track record. It precedes them. And so you guys should have been somewhat dialed into the fact that that's not his move. His move isn't to go out and get the biggest, shiniest object out there and bring them in. His move is to kind of lay back, re-sign his own guys, and kind of play the field a bit and see what's out there once the dust settles, smoke clears. So he's more of a Trey Boston guy. I know a lot of Redskins fans love that name. He's more of a Trey Boston guy. That's the guy that gets signed day 3 of free agency or 2 weeks after free agency is already commenced. He's that kind of guy. So settle down. Let's see what happens. But you're right, DMV Fan 123. I've seen doom and gloom from Redskins fans after day number 1. It's actually kind of hilarious when you think about it. Anyhow, thank you for the Super Chat, DMV123. DMV Fan 123, excuse me. Big Blue Rising. Thank you for the Super Chat, Big Blue Rising. Greatly appreciated. Big Blue Rising writes, what it do, Lou? Been gone for a minute, but happy to chop it up again in the lab room. Yes, sir. Glad to have you back, man. It's like you never left. Good to have you back. Look forward to chopping it up with you in the near future. Thank you for the Super Chat, Big Blue Rising. My girl, Rebe. What's going on, Rebe? How you doing? She says, popping in and out, showing some love. Thank you, Rebe, for the Super Chat. Greatly appreciated. thank you so much for the support. Good looking out, girl. And glad to hear from you. Take care of yourself. Got another super chat. This one from Ainsley Chance. Ainsley Chance writes, first of all, thank you for the super chat, Ainsley Chance. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ainsley Chance. Ainsley writes, hey Lou, long time listener, first time super chatter. Thank you again. He says, asked this earlier. What do you think about us going after Rhodes? Like a dunny for Rhodes? No. So first of all, Xavier Rhodes is a free agent, so you don't have to give up Dunny for Xavier Rhodes. The Vikings cut him yesterday. So he's available. He's on the streets, you know. But that being said, I'm not a big Xavier Rhodes fan. He's similar to Josh Norman. I think he can still play. And if he's in the right system, he could be perfectly still good. He could be a perfectly good cornerback. All right. I think he's damaged goods right now. Much like Josh Norman, it's all up here in his head. All right, he's lost his confidence. He's not the same guy. He's oft hurt and injured. He's always in and out of the lineup. Even in game, he's coming out of the game 4 and 5 times. I'm not a big Xavier Rhodes fan. All right, so I'm not that high on going out and getting him. You know what I mean? I'd much rather, if you're gonna go that route, I'd much rather go after some of the other guys we've talked about. But if you're going to go the Xavier Rhodes, if you're thinking about that, I'd much rather just allow the Redskins to see what they have at corner. You know, let Fabian Moreau play. You know what I mean? Keep Dunny in there. And let's see what Jimmy Moreland has. Like, if you're going to go that route, I'm good. I'd rather see what those young boys still have to offer and maybe draft a corner or two. But if you want to go in a different direction, I'm all for it. I'm not a big Xavier Rhodes guy, though. So, that's just me personally. But you never know. He could be a guy that finds a market that is really dried up for him and have to settle for a meager deal. We'll see. Thank you once again for the super chat, Ainsley. Santiago Tradell, thank you for the super chat. Santiago, really appreciate it. Santiago writes, Ron is cheap, like in Carolina, really need Chase. Yeah, Ron isn't a big spender. I've told you guys that already, and I think because of the excitement of all of the talk that we had every single week and all the rumors, I told you it's lying season, so don't pay too much attention to Austin Hooper rumored to the Redskins or James Bradbury could reunite with Ron Rivera. Like, all of these things sounded really good, but I'm like, it's lying season, and Ron doesn't spend a lot, and that's truth. All right, we have proof that Ron's not a big spender. So now, again, let me reiterate this. We don't know if they tried, okay? The Redskins could have just come up short. You know, they could have went after some of these guys, but the money was just too rich for some of these signings, and the Redskins had to take a step back and say, hey, we're out. We were in initially when it started, but the bidding got too high, we're out. And so if that took place, cool. I get that as well. If they weren't even interested enough to check in, I'm fine with that as well. In Ron we trust. That hasn't changed. At least not for me. I can't speak for some of you guys out there. But again, no one wins any games in April, in March, in May. No one wins games in those months. Okay? When the games actually start, that's when we'll be able to gauge and judge what Ron Rivera is doing in the progress that this team is or isn't making. But I'm not jumping off the deep end because the Redskins haven't made any moves yet. So, and yes, we do need Chase Young. I agree with that statement. BD, what's going on, my man Barrett Downing? As always, thank you for the super chat. BD, greatly appreciated. My man Barrett writes, got you in my ear. Thanks. Respect. Likewise, Barrett. Likewise, my man. Appreciate the love, as always. BD, good looking out. All right. So I got another super chat. This one is from Ainsley Chance, who says, double up, as the first double up candidate of the night. Ainsley Chance, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Thank you once again, Ainsley. Chris Lou. with the super chat. Appreciate the super chat, Chris Lou. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Chris Lou says, "What's up, Louie? New listener from Senegal. Just attending for the first time and wanted to salute you. Much love, brother. Appreciate you, Chris Lou. Thank you for joining us. And welcome, man. You won't be disappointed. Look forward to chopping it up with you in the near future, Chris Lou. And once again, thank you for the super chat, man. Really do appreciate that. Blackskin HTTR with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Blackskin HTTR. Greatly appreciated. Blackskin HTTR writes, Trent for Diggs straight up. You think that's fair? If I'm the Vikings, nah, that's not fair. If for us, we would do the deal in a heartbeat, that Diggs for Trent Williams. But for the Vikings, that's not a fair deal. You got to pay Trent. That's number one. Number two, I think they're going to have to eat some of that. If they trade Diggs, this is why I still don't think Diggs is going anywhere. He can be disgruntled all he wants. But the end of the day, the Vikings, I think, have to eat some of that money and things get accelerated from a cap standpoint. If they trade Stefon Diggs, it doesn't make any financial sense for them to do that. So I don't think this is going to happen. And I don't know if the Redskins would be interested in doing that deal or not. I'm pretty sure they would be. But again, if I'm the Vikings, I would need much more than just Trent Williams if I'm going to do a deal for Stefon Diggs at this point. With Diggs already being under contract for the foreseeable future and Trent Williams not, that would be another issue there as well. So I don't think that's something the Vikings would be interested in, and I still don't think they're going to trade Stefon Diggs, even though there was a subtweet there that really got a lot of people talking, and it's interesting because there was a follow-up tweet to it too, where somebody had said to him something along the lines of, man, you guys, do this all the time. You're not going anywhere. He's like, yo, this time is different, champ. Like telling him like, look, I'm serious. I really would, something needs to change. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you this much. He's subtweeting for a reason. So anyway, Santiago Tradell with a super chat. Thank you once again for the super chat, Santiago Tradell. Double up, for my man, Santiago Tradell. Thank you once again. Santiago writes, would have been nice to get DeAndre. He was cheap. Well, look, peep game. All right. You got, first of all, I don't know how that whole situation came about, but obviously there was something that the Texans wanted. All right. They wanted David Johnson. Now, I don't know if they approached the Cardinals or the Cardinals approached them, but there was a rumor out there this morning, and I don't know, that could have been circulating in league circles behind the scenes for weeks, maybe since the combine. Who's to know? But I heard this morning, and I talked about this on the video that I did on that trade, that the Texans were potentially interested in moving DeAndre Hopkins. Now, what we later found out is that there was a little bit of a contractual dispute there. Sounds like he wanted more money with 3 years left on his deal, and the Texans weren't interested in doing that. But that's no reason to just give away the best receiver in football. But that aside, when you look at the situation, I don't know if the Texans approached the Cardinals or the Cardinals approached the Texans, but I know a lot of Redskins fans are probably going to be talking about that. Why didn't we try to do this? We could have gotten, it's the same thing we talked about when we saw what the Texans gave up for Laramie Tunsil and said, why didn't we do it? We could have got all that for Trent. We didn't do it. All right, for whatever reason. And I can't tell you why it didn't happen. I can tell you what did happen. The Arizona Cardinals swooped in and got themselves a hell of a deal. Now whether they got to tear up Nuke's old contract and give him new money, or if that was just something the Texans floated out there to make them seem like a little bit better for doing what they did, to rationalize it, I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, there's no way you can convince me they won that trade. Simple as that. So, but I don't know why the Redskins didn't inquire. Maybe they did. Maybe they did, and maybe what the Texans wanted from them was something different than what the Redskins were willing to give up. Either way, he's in Arizona. So, got another super chat. This one from Book of High Quality Band. Thank you for the super chat, Book of High Quality Band. Really appreciate it. Book of High Quality Band writes, As a Cowboy fan, love your channel. Hashtag how about them Cowboys? Oh, man. Interesting turn of events for them. They get Dak on the franchise tag. Amari Cooper has not signed yet. Heard the Redskins are going to make a serious run at him. We'll see what happens with Amari Cooper. He's expressed the fact that he wants to stay in Dallas, but money talks, everything else walks, as I mentioned numerous times. We'll see how that situation goes. What about Randall Cobb? If you're not going to keep Amari Cooper, at least keep Randall Cobb. You're thinking to yourself, maybe he's gone in the wind as well. Again, we're going to start to see some of these other guys come off the board here shortly. So that's another name to keep an eye on in Dallas. We knew Byron Jones was going to be gone. But I thought the Dallas Cowboys did a really smart thing today by re-signing Blake Jarwin. I was actually interested myself as a Redskins fan in Blake Jarwin. I was looking at your stuff. I was eyeballing your stuff, side-eye style, all right? Because you know guys in the division, we looking at your stuff, okay? And nobody knows your stuff more than the people in the division. I was looking at Blake Jarwin like, man, that's a big son of a bitch that can catch the football over there, man. Wouldn't mind taking a gander at him. Cowboys say, hey, eyes off the merchandise, man. That's our stuff. They re-signed Blake Jarwin. I thought that was a smart move on their part. I like him a lot. And so that was a big move by the Dallas Cowboys. So, got another super chat. Leon Hall with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Leon Hall. You still playing ball or what? No? Yes? No? Maybe so? Hey, seriously though, thank you, Leon, for the super chat. Leon writes, love the knowledge and up-to-date info. Thank you so much. Were you surprised about the Flowers deal? Honestly, wanted to keep him. I wasn't. I've told you this all along. I've told you guys, and again, let me reiterate this. When I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to tell you I'm wrong, okay? Have no shame in my game. But when I'm right, oh, best believe you're going to hear that I was right, because I love being right. And I told you guys from the jump, I didn't think we were going to keep both of those guys. I said one or the other with these guards. Because if Scherff is retained, then you're going to have to get Flowers to agree to about an $8 million deal. And if he wants more than that, which I thought if he was able to get the free agency, and that was the thing, was he going to have the patience to let the process play itself out? Because he could have got antsy and said, you know what? $8 million right here, sitting on the table. Bird in hand is better than two in the bush, okay? I got a chance to get my $8 million up front, 4 years, $32 million, 3 years, $24 million. Redskins slid that contract in front of me. I could take this. It's right here in front of me. Or I could wait till free agency, see what else is out there, and I think I can get more. He waited. He rolled the dice, and it came up nice for him. 3 years, $30 million in Miami. I thought he could get a deal like that. I thought he would have a robust market. He played well enough to earn himself starters money. And he did that, and he got paid and rewarded. Good for him. No, I'm not surprised by the deal, not the length, not the amount, and not how fast he signed. None of that surprised me because I thought this was a realistic possibility, which is why I told you guys the entire process. I don't think the Redskins are retaining both starting guards. It's one or the other. And once I found out Scherff was the guy that they were going with, which I was happy about. Let me reiterate that. I was very happy to hear that they thought that Scherff was the guy that needed to be here, which I agree with. I thought that meant Eric Flowers was going to end up being the odd man out, and he was. But good for him. He got paid. Good for him. Got another super chat. This one from Brian Haynes. Thank you for the super chat, Brian Haynes. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat, Brian. Brian writes, Redskins not targeting big free agents. How do you feel about that? I'm not really moved at all either way. I'm not upset. I'm not excited. I honestly, I'm even keel because I just want to see what happens. I've taken a wait and see approach with just about everything the Redskins have done this offseason. You know, I've been ecstatic about the hiring of Ron Rivera. I was ecstatic about the moves made to the staff. And now I'm just going to take a wait and see approach because we don't know how they feel about this roster. That's the thing that we went into this whole process blind about. You know, we know what this roster looks like. But we know what this roster looks like under the last regime. We know what this roster performed like under the last coaching staff. We don't know what these same players may do with better coaching in a different scheme. So while we may be thinking to ourselves, man, we got to do way better than Fabian Moreau at corner. Fab might go out and ball this year at corner because of this defense and some of the parts around him and the way that they implement things. You know, we're talking about, man, we need a new safety. Man, the whole time we may look up and we may have our two safeties already on the roster. They may take Troy Apke and turn him into a monster. Or they may take our other safety, I can't think of his damn name right now, but Monte Nicholson, and Monte might turn back into rookie form Monte Nicholson for all we know. So we make all these assumptions because we've seen this team and these players, but we saw them in a different light under a different staff, and we don't know what this coaching staff thinks of these players. So I'm ready to take a wait and see approach. I've approached this offseason with that kind of mindset, and it's holding serve right now. I thought Ron could be cautiously optimistic in free agency and not really dip his toe into that water right away. Kind of wait till it kind of cools off a bit. That water was pretty damn hot. All right, Ron wants it to settle down a bit, cool down a bit, then he's gonna get in. So we'll see what happens. I'm not really moved either way though. Thank you for the super chat though. Once again, Brian Haynes. Got another super chat. This one from Chris Lou once again. Double up. From my man Chris Lou. That might be your third super chat. But just in case, we're gonna flash the threes up. And I gave you a double up anyway. So I know this is your second for sure. If not third. But appreciate it all together. Chris Lou. Chris writes, would you take Njoku in a 4 for Trent Williams? I don't know if I should feel anxious, but refreshing to see us go calm in free agency. I do trust Kyle Smith and Ron Rivera. As do I. To answer your question, we talked about this on the last Redskins stream where I said I really would prefer a third and Njoku for Trent Williams, personally. But if that's the deal that's out there, that's the best you can do, I'd settle for that fourth. I wouldn't have a problem with the Redskins having 3 fourth-round picks. You could flip 2 of them, move back into the third if need be. But I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would prefer Trent and the third for Njoku if the Redskins, Trent for Njoku and a third. That's what I would prefer. But what I prefer and what actually is being offered or would be offered are probably 2 totally different things. So I would prefer a third rounder attached to Njoku to get that deal done. But after seeing the Browns be active in free agency with Jack Conklin, and I think Trent would have been a backup option had Jack Conklin not signed with them. I don't know. They may, because he's a right tackle. Trent's a left tackle. They may still need a left tackle. But they're in a position in the draft where they can get a left tackle. They don't necessarily have to trade for Trent Williams. So, again, after getting Conklin, it really puts them in a really good spot. Now they can just take a left tackle in the draft, and they don't have to worry about signing Trent to a big deal or his age or any of that stuff. So, honestly speaking, I don't know if Trent gets traded or not. I don't know what for, but we'll know more about the market after free agency settles in, because once teams either did or didn't get a guy, then you'll start to see things, I think, heat up a bit in terms of the Trent discussion. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd prefer a 3 with Njoku to get Trent. But if it turned out to be a 4 and then that was the best we could do with Njoku, I wouldn't mind doing that either. Got another super chat. This one from my man JP. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. JP, greatly appreciated. JP writes, Raiders are nearing a contract deal with Marcus Mariota. Texans need to be relegated to the XFL, and Watson needs to ask for a trade right now. So that Marcus Mariota to Oakland deal is really intriguing because I just think he needs a fresh start. And I think if he gets a chance to start again, I think it could really be much different the second time around for Marcus Mariota. And that'd be a great fit for him. Everyone's trying to run Derek Carr out of town in Oakland. But I don't think Marcus Mariota is the guy to necessarily do that. But if, he struggles in 2020, with a new stadium, who's to say Marcus Mariota might get a shot? I don't know. That's a great spot for him, though. Anyhow, Texans need to be relegated to the XFL. I wouldn't go that far, but I understand where you're coming from. I get the tongue-in-cheekness of that statement. Bill O'Brien needs to be relegated to the XFL, or at least downgraded to an offensive coordinator. But the fact that this man has not only head coaching power, but general manager power is criminal. It's a criminal offense. And that's why the Texans are in the position that they're in right now. And but again, I said all of that to say this. They keep winning, okay? We talk a lot of shit about the Texans. Every year he does this. Whether it's Jadeveon Clowney or it's the Tunzel trade, we talk dirty about them every year. And they win the division or make the postseason every year. So until that stops, we can sit here and talk all we want, ridicule and defame and deface Bill O'Brien, Billy O, all we want. But the man keeps putting up dubs and getting his team to the playoffs. And until he does it, there's only so much criticizing you can do to these moves. But Watson, I know he's got to be hurt, man. And you know what I think they're going to ultimately do with one of those second-round picks that they have is they're going to ultimately take a receiver. And there are going to be some really good receivers available in the second round. And I think they're just going to go with one of those guys, and they're going to keep it moving. And so that guy's not going to be Nuke. Not right off the bat. He may ultimately turn into Nuke. Remember, DeAndre Hopkins wasn't a first-round pick either. He wasn't a second-round pick. He was a third-round pick. So it's not like you can't get a stud receiver in any round other than the first. You can find a diamond in the rough. You can find a quality player. Now, like we've talked about with this particular draft, so many good football players, there's a chance that a lot of good ones drop to the second round, third round, and receivers in particular. You're going to see some really good ones still be available in the second round. So for what it's worth. Thanks again for the super chat, JP. Santiago Trudell, double up, for my man Santiago. That might be a third one. I'm going to flash the threes just in case. Appreciate you, Santiago. Santiago writes, what do you think about the Wes Schweitzer signing? Talked about that already, did a video on it, so check that out. I don't want to be long-winded with that since I've done a video on it, but he's a backup. You know, when you give a guy a 3-year, $13.5 million deal, so $4.5 million per, to come onto your roster, it's to compete. But really, it's a backup role. You know, what you saw Eric Flowers get, that's starting guard money. What you see the Redskins doing right now is providing depth along the offensive line. Wes Schweitzer can probably play all 3 interior offensive line positions. So you're looking for that kind of flexibility. Remember, Ron Rivera made it a point of emphasis to say, I'm looking for guys with flexibility. Wes Schweitzer can play multiple positions. He's going to be a backup, I think. Wes Martin is, I think, going to be the lead dog in that race for the left guard position that is now vacated and vacant after the Eric Flowers departure. We'll see what happens, but to me, Wes Schweitzer is nothing more than depth. That's it. And it's nothing wrong with that. You need depth in this league. We know it's a war of attrition. And so you got to have guys that can step in and give you quality snaps. I think Wes Schweitzer, in small doses, can do that. So, got another super chat. This one from Ainsley Chance. Once again, double up, and you tripling up. This is your third one, I remember, because you doubled up just to get me to say that. So we tripling now. All right, I can see you, bro. Appreciate you, Ainsley. Ainsley writes, I know, we're taking chase, but in the back of our minds, no one trusts Haskins. Should we pull a move like the Cardinals? Tua is sitting. No, we shouldn't. Okay? Speak for yourself. I don't trust Haskins to the point where I know this guy's the next best thing. However, I trust him enough. I feel confident. That's probably the better way to phrase it. I feel confident enough in his abilities that I don't feel like the Redskins need to take another quarterback. You know, and Tua may ultimately turn out to be a great quarterback in this league and one of the next guys that helps usher this league into the next generation of quarterbacks. along with, Trevor Lawrence, maybe if he's as good as advertised, and Joe Burrow, and, some of the young quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and all of these guys, Patrick Mahomes. He may be one of these guys that helps usher the league into the next generation of quarterbacks. When the Bradys and the Breezes and the Roethlisbergers and the Rodgers depart and the Rivers and all those guys are gone, there's going to be a mantle pass to these younger quarterbacks, and he may be one of them. But I'm hoping Dwayne's in that discussion as well. And I'm going to continue to back him and give him every opportunity to prove that he doesn't belong in that conversation. Until he proves to me that he doesn't, I'm going to assume that eventually he will be in that conversation. So I don't think we need to trade the pick. I don't think we need to draft Tua Tagovailoa. I think we need to do what we've said we were going to do all along. Stick to the script. All right? Stick to the plan. Stick to the script. Draft Chase Young and go from there. So thank you for the super chat, Ainsley. Really appreciate it. Another super chat from Big Blue Rising. Double up. For my man, Big Blue Rising. Thank you for the super chat, Big Blue Rising. BBR writes, Lou, I wasn't a fan of the cornerback play in Carolina outside of Dante Jackson. What can I expect of James Bradberry? Wasn't he the corner that got ate up by Julio a couple years back? Yes, that was him. However, he also has gotten better. That game you reference and speak of was like 3 years ago. All right, that was a young, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac James Bradberry. Okay, he's matured and aged very well. Because I remember I ridiculed the Panthers and Dave Gettleman for the selection of James Bradberry in the second round. I thought it was way too early for him out of Sanford. All right, and so not Stanford, Samford. Okay, small school in South Carolina. So I thought it was just too early for him, but he matured over the years. He got better. They continued to coach him up. He continued to mature. And by the time he got to his final year of his rookie deal, man, he was a really well-rounded product in Carolina. And, at the end of games, coaches were coming up to him and saying, man, you got my respect. I remember week 1 last year, he had a big interception versus the Rams. Now, the Rams ultimately won that game, but it was close. Bradberry had a big interception that gave them a shot to try to win that football game. And I remember Sean McVay going out of his way to come over to James Bradberry and say, hell of a game, James. You're a hell of a football player. And it's that kind of respect that he's starting to garner with his play in this league. He is a guy that he's got some length. He's got a little bit of ability to run. He's not a speedster, all right? He's not a 4'4", 5 guy. He's more of a 4'5'2" guy. But with his length, and 4'5'2" is not slow, okay? It's just not blazing fast. With his length and his ability to get in the face of a receiver and delete the airspace, and he tackles, there's a lot to like about James Bradberry. I like him a lot. I don't know if I $15 million a year like James Bradberry, but that's the going rate for a top-level corner in free agency. So I'm not complaining about that money. If the Redskins would have spent that same deal on him, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. 3 years, $45 million. I would have ate that. I would have ate that, no problem. So I like the move for the Giants. I hate that it's in the division. All right, and I didn't like the move last year, drafting the corner out of Georgia in the first round. But again, I didn't like the move of drafting James Bradberry in the second round, and he turned out to be a really good corner. If the Georgia corner turns out to be a solid corner, and James Bradberry, opposite of him, turns out to be what I think he is evolving into in this league, you could have the makings of a really good secondary in New York. So I think you got yourself a really good football player. Now, how you use him will be important because, yes, he can play man-to-man. He's not Josh Norman. You don't have to just play him in cover 3, but you don't want to overextend him in man-to-man. You don't want to do that either. So pick your spots with him, but I like him. He's a good football player. So let's see. Got another super chat. This one from Black Skin HTTR. Double up. For my man Black Skin HTTR. Thank you for the super chat. Black Skin HTTR. Black Skin HTTR writes, Redskins would be losing out on 2 fronts by drafting Tua. 1, losing out on Chase Young. 2, wasting a first-round pick on Dwayne. 3, we need superstar players on defense that can help us get off the field. I agree with everything you just said, especially number 2. That means you wasted a first-round pick on Dwayne. And it's not like the Cardinals with Josh Rosen where they're like, man, this guy can't play. Like, and I don't even know if that's really true with Rosen. I don't know if he really got a real shot, but they were like, man, we can't just continue to double down on this mistake that we made. We got to move on. And had they not moved on from Steve Wilks and he was still the coach, maybe they don't go and get Kyler Murray. Maybe Wilks is fine with keeping Josh Rosen, but when they got the new coach in Cliff Kingsbury and he wanted his guy and Murray was there, it just made too much sense. That's not the case here. Rivera isn't an offensive-minded guy. You know, he didn't drool over Tua in high school and wanted to recruit him, and which is the whole story with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. He's a defensive guy, and he's got a chance to draft the best one in the draft. So it just makes too much sense. Rivera's a defensive guy. He's got a chance to get the best defensive guy in the draft. Why mess that up? It doesn't make any sense. So I think everything that the Redskins have done to this point with regards to the draft, I've been fine with. I don't think they've said anything out of pocket. I don't think they've done anything erroneous. I think when it's all said and done, they're going to draft Chase Young, and that's the way, I like it. And that's the way it needs to stay. So looking forward to that. We'll see what happens. But I think that's the last super chat for now. All right. Don't see any more super chats right now. Do have a call, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
What's going on?
Hey, turn your monitor down.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but your monitor's still loud.
Who's going to be the other quarterback the Reds is going to get besides Haskins? We know we got another quarterback, Alex.
Yeah.
And Alex want to play. And we know that.
Right.
But who's going to be the other quarterback?
That's a great question, man. I mean, I have no idea. I think the Redskins are, again, they're not looking to spend a ton of money on a backup quarterback. You know, what would be really telling is if they do nothing this entire period, that tells me that they really think Alex Smith is going to be ready. I still am in the thought process, in the mindset of him never playing again. And if that is in fact the case, they're going to have to do something. Now, what they ultimately decide to do, it's hard to say. A lot of backup quarterbacks out there available in the market, and we'll see what the Redskins decide to do there. But I think they're going to have to do something to bring enough camp arms to camp. You know, they're going to probably sign an undrafted quarterback, bring him to camp as a camp arm, but they're going to need a competent backup. And if Alex Smith isn't that guy, they're going to have to go out and get one in free agency. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Another thing, let me ask another question.
Sure.
This last thing.
Sure.
What you think about that Flowers? And you think are we gonna get any free agents for the offensive line?
Well, we already went out and got one in Wes Switzer from Atlanta. He's an offensive guard that they drafted from San Jose State about 4 years ago or so. So they got him on a 3-year, $13.5 million deal. So I think he's coming in to compete for the left guard spot. But honestly speaking, that's backup money that he got. I'm thinking more. But again, it's more than what, Wes Martin is being paid. I think it's going to be a battle of the two Wes's. I put out a video talking about that. We'll see what happens with that situation. As far as Eric Flowers is concerned, I'm not surprised by that deal at all. Thought he could get that on the market. I thought that if he was allowed to hit free agency, he was going to be gone and he was going to get a deal, $9, $10, $11 million per. And he got 10. Good for him. I'm not mad at it. And I'm not mad that the Redskins didn't match. So good for Eric Flowers. We'll see what happens with him in Miami, and we'll see what the Redskins end up doing at left guard.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I love your show, and I watch it every day.
Hey, man, appreciate that, John. Take care.
All right.
All righty. So let's get to the comment section. I have no more super chats, and I have no more calls right now. So let's get to some comments. Knock a few of these down. Let's see. Isaac Lorda, appreciate you. Thank you for enjoying the videos. Got a super chat. I'm going to take that one right now. This super chat is from Martin Matthews. My man Martin Matthews, double M. Appreciate the super chat, Martin Matthews. Really appreciate the contribution. Martin writes, hey, Louie, as long as you have your show, you have my ear, dog. Hey, people forget that Apke ran a 4.35 and can turn out to be a beast under Jack. And what do you think about getting the tight end from the DC Defenders? I don't know who that tight end is. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have been watching XFL football very intently. I don't know if I've even watched an entire game start to finish. I've checked out a couple of games, bits and pieces, parts here and there, but I have no idea who the tight end for the DC Defenders is. So I'd have to figure out who that was. He's probably played in the league before, though, but I have no recollection of who that is. But Apke is athletically gifted. We know he tested well at the combine. We know that those Penn State players seem to be workout warriors. All of them. All right. All of them are usually great in the gym, great in the weight room, and excellent athletes. However, does it translate to the football field? We're gonna find out. Again, I'm not one of those people that's down on Troy Apke. I want to see what he has. All right, a lot of people are killing Troy Apke, think he's terrible, can't play. How do you know? He's never really had any opportunities. So, excuse me, I'm of the mindset that, everybody's going to get a chance. If you're on the roster because it's a new regime, you're going to get a shot. And I think Apke's one of those guys that may get a shot at safety. Monte may start out as the lead dog, but I think it's a position that's definitely up for grabs, and we'll see if Monte's able to keep him at bay. Or if they bring somebody else in to compete with all of those guys, whether it be a draftee or a free agent or what may have you, we'll see what they decide to do at the safety position. But I'm looking forward to seeing what a lot of these guys can do under Jack in this defensive scheme. So thank you once again for the super chat, Double M. Greatly appreciate it, Martin. Thank you. And I will look into that DC Defenders tight end, but I haven't watched him, so I can't give you any analysis on what he may be able to bring to the table. All right. Phone lines are ringing, so I'll answer that. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, Lou, this is Santiago.
What's up, Santiago? Appreciate the super chats, man.
Hey, look, anytime to support you, bro. You know you the best, man.
Appreciate that.
I just wanted to drop in on what you think might be. Do you who you think gonna be our first major signing right now as it stands with the Redskins? Who you think might be the first major signing for us?
I think it's going to be a corner. I think it's going to be one of these. You know what? It wouldn't shock me. I keep hearing this over and over again, and sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. I wouldn't be shocked if the Redskins bring back Kendall Fuller. I wouldn't be shocked if the Redskins go after Bashad Breeland. Remember, Rivera was going after Breeland once upon a time when he was in Carolina, and now he's got another shot at him. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be one of those types of guys that you see the Redskins go after. I think the Redskins could be in the market for a tight end, a veteran tight end. So I don't really know what's out there. Would they bring in an Eric Ebron? Maybe. I don't know. But that's another position that I think they may be looking at. I think the John Bostic signing kind of takes them out of any market for a linebacker. If they were going to bring in a linebacker, I think it would have been post John Bostic, but being that he is back in the fold now on a 2-year, $6.6 million deal, I think that now puts them in a position to turn their attention elsewhere. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went after safety to throw in a mix. I wouldn't be shocked if they went after a veteran receiver. And this is another name that keeps floating around. I don't believe it. And if it happens, I'll be shocked. This will be one of the few things that would actually shock me. Even though I've heard people bring his name up, I can't see the Redskins spending a ton of money on him. But Amari Cooper at the receiver position, Cowboys don't seem like they're in a position to bring him back with the franchise tag being slapped on Dak. If the Redskins really go after him hard, you know how they love their Bama players. I know it's a different regime, but it's a ton of Bama guys on this roster. That would shock me. That would really shock me. I don't anticipate that happening. I think the first big signing is going to be a corner.
Well, I understand your sentiments on that because I'm stuck. Now once again, I'm like the many of your subscribers. I'm an avid watcher. I'm starting to believe that I don't know that scenario about Kendall Fuller and Bashard Breeland. That when you brought out the scenario about Kendall Fuller and Bashard Breeland as bringing them back both at the same time, especially with Dunny. But with the money that we have, I feel like we can get what you think about Bashard Breeland, Kendall Fuller, and David Njoku. Now that they've signed Austin Hooper, we can go after David Njoku and, pretty much not be as expensive, but it would still be. Would you think that'd be a splash signing or something that's possible that we could wind up, venturing into?
So the Njoku piece of that question is complicated because he's not a free agent. You would have to trade for him. And the first thing that popped into my head, and if you follow me on Twitter, you would know this because I tweeted out literally seconds after I saw the news break. I think it was Ian Rappaport that I saw it on first, that the Browns had signed, had landed Austin Hooper. First thing that popped in my head is David Njoku available now? That's the first thing that I thought about. But as soon as I tweeted that out there, I guess a lot of people were saying, does this mean Njoku's on the block? Quickly, there was another follow-up tweet that pretty much said, look, Kevin Stefanski, which is the new Browns head coach, routinely, and remember he was in Minnesota last year, routinely ran 12 and 22 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends on the field. He loves his 2 tight end sets. And if that is in fact the case, then Njoku and Hooper can coexist with one another. So I've been hearing nothing but big things about Njoku this offseason. He's rededicated himself. He couldn't stand the last coach. He's gone now. Njoku's in great shape. Like, they love him in Cleveland. I don't see them really looking to deal him. So I don't think we're going to be able to get our hands on him necessarily. But as far as Bashad and Kendall Fuller are concerned, I think those are realistic possibilities. I don't know if both of them would be guys that the Redskins would be looking to sign. Don't count out Chris Harris Jr. either, being that he's a guy that has played under Jack Del Rio before. But I don't know what direction the Redskins are going to go. I just think they're going to sign. In my mind, they're going to sign at least a corner. And I think at some point they're going to get their hands on a tight end as well. May not be a big name, as you can see. Most of them are gone now. Hunter Henry, franchise tagged. Jimmy Graham to the Bears. And now Austin Hooper to the Browns. Not many big names left, but there is Eric Ebron and a couple of other names out there. We'll see if the Redskins decide. Blake Jarwin was a guy that I was quietly, secretly eyeballing from the Cowboys. He went back to Dallas. So not a lot of options out there. We'll see what the Redskins decide to do. But I surmise that the cornerback position is one that they will definitely look to do something at, even if it's only one guy.
Well, I appreciate your info. Keep up the good work. I might be dropping another super chat, and hope you keep getting your super chats, and I'll be back at you, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot, Santiago.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right, got another super chat. Let's jump into that one. And once again, thank you for the super chat, Martin Matthews. Jake Willis with the super chat. What you talking about, Willis? Appreciate the super chat, Jake Willis. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Jake writes, you can't take Tua. Alex is hurt. Geis has been hurt. Love has been hurt. And Tua is coming off of a major injury. We cannot have our entire offensive backfield coming off of injury. I didn't even think of that angle other than, Tua's hurt. But you're absolutely right. You can't have a team full of guys coming off of injuries and major surgery. The only one that wouldn't have been coming off of some kind of major surgery is Geis. He would be 2 years removed or a full offseason removed from major surgery. But as you mentioned, Bryce Love is coming off of surgery. I don't think Alex Smith is ever going to play again, but Alex is coming off of surgery. And Tua is coming off of a major hip surgery. and a couple of ankle surgeries, not to mention. It's just not smart if you're the Redskins. And for some other team, Tua might be perfect, for what they're looking to do. I think for where the Redskins are, it's Haskins, it's Chase Young, and you move forward, man. I think that's the move. And that's what I would. I think that's what I would do. And that's not what I think I would do. That's what I would definitely do. And I think that's what the Redskins ultimately will do. So, all right. Got no more super chats for the time being, and no one calling in. So let's get back to the comment section. Let's see where we left off at. See here. John Rowland. I think we talked on the phone. So he says, who's going to be our other quarterback? Yeah, we talked about that on the phone, so I don't need to talk about that here again. But I do have a call coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Louie. It's Chris Lou from Senegal.
What's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Actually, I was calling you kind of answer to the first question I had, which was maybe I was thinking about maybe the fact that we didn't sign nobody in the free agency when it started was related to the fact that Ron Rivera was very clear about the fact that he wanted to have guys who wanted to play on the team. So I was like, maybe those guys they were thinking about having were not really interested into playing with the Redskins. So that was the first question, and you kind of answered talking about the two mid-tier cornerbacks. And the other thing was I don't really know how to feel about Stefon Diggs. He's a good wide receiver, but the fact is I see him a lot on social medias. I see him a lot with those subliminal tweets, and I don't know how Ron Rivera would deal with it. I really don't know about him. That's my problem. He's a very good player, but I got a problem with the attitude. And do you think that might be a problem for the team and for Ron Rivera to get him on the roster?
Okay, yeah, I can handle those, Chris, man. Hey, appreciate the super chat and thank you for calling in, man. I'm gonna take both of those.
Okay, I hang up and I'll let you answer to those.
Yep, appreciate you, Chris.
Thanks again, man.
Take care. So the first question was, do I think that the free agents that didn't sign, and part of the reason Redskins haven't signed is that those guys didn't want to be here. I don't think it's necessarily that they didn't want to be here. It's just they went where the money was. And that's what free agency is all about, Where can I get the biggest deal? Who shows me the most interest? That's where I want to go. Look, it's not any different than recruiting kids out of high school. These guys want to be wanted. And the way you show someone you want them is by paying them, by courting them. In this particular case, you can't wine and dine these guys because of the climate right now with the coronavirus. But you can show them the money. And I think that's the situation right now is the Dolphins showed Eric Flowers the money. He went to Miami. The Browns showed Austin Hooper the money. He goes to Cleveland. Jack Conklin, the Browns, showed him the bread. He said, all right, I know where to go. They got the dough. So it's not hard to figure this stuff out. I mean, the breadcrumb trails are there. All right. Follow the money. That's all you got to do. And the teams that coughed up the bread, they got the players that they were after. Giants got James Bradbury. The Dolphins got Byron Jones. You spend the money early in free agency, you'll get your guy. And I don't know if the Redskins were really willing to spend the money that it was going to take to get some of these guys to become Washington Redskins. And your second question was that of Stefon Diggs. And it's a very good one because I've wrestled with this. And really, I haven't given it as much thought because I don't anticipate anything happening with the Redskins. But I have heard this conversation before. I do have an opinion on it. And since you asked, I'll give it. Stefon Diggs is a very talented football player. I think that he wants out. That's part of the reason you're seeing him act out the way that he has been is because he wants out of Minnesota. That being said, though, to me, he does strike me as a guy that could be a little bit of a problem in a locker room. If things are going well, he could even be a problem when things are going well. The Vikings made the playoffs last year, and in the playoff game, he wasn't getting enough targets, and he had a blow up on the sidelines. I mean, this is a guy that can be a little bit combustible, and you know what? Bringing him home may not be the best thing for him. You get around family, you get around friends. Who's to say what happens? I think he's actually a good dude. I don't know him personally. I think he's a good dude when it's all said and done. But there are some extra antics on socials, all right? And he's a guy that can have a sideline tizzy or two. And I don't think that's what the Redskins are looking to build under Ron Rivera. And so I don't know if he would actually be a great fit. The talent is definitely there. It's undeniable. But I don't know if the Redskins view him as a guy that's worth the headache or not. So I think that's a really good observation by you, Chris. And I appreciate the phone call. So, got another call coming in. Got a couple super chats. So we're going to take those super chats. So whoever is calling in, continue to call in. Vincent Coe with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Vincent Coe. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you once again, Vincent Coe, for the super chat. Vincent writes, thoughts on Dolphins signing Jones and Van Noy. I did not know about the Kyle Van Noy signing. Thank you for that information. You're breaking news for me because I had no idea that you guys signed Kyle Van Noy. That is a great signing for you guys. Obviously, the ties to Brian Flores are there. So he knows Van Noy very well, knows his strengths, knows his weaknesses. And it's a double whammy because you're weakening a foe in the division and you're getting stronger all at the same time. Love that move of getting Kyle Van Noy. Okay, so let's address that right off the bat. Secondly, Byron Jones is interesting because I'm not sure he is an elite corner. So the money you paid him is elite money. But that aside, forget about the money. Take the money out of the equation. I know it's hard to because it's a lot of money. It's $16.5 million per. 5 years, $82.5 million. But move the money aside for a second. Just focus on the football player, Byron Jones. He's a really good corner in this league. All right? I was not in love with some of the techniques that were taught in Dallas. A lot of times they were teaching their corners, don't worry about looking back for the ball. Rake at the arms. Rake at the ball. All right? Don't look back. Looking back slows you down, and you're probably not going to make a play on the ball. Find his arms. Locate his eyes. When he tells you the ball's coming, you swipe down. That's what they were teaching their corners in Dallas. I do not like that method, okay? So that has a little bit to do with some of the things that I have issues with Byron Jones. That being said, all of the talent is there. The speed, the athleticism. We know the guy can jump. He's got ball skills. I like Byron Jones. I don't know if I love Byron Jones. Here's the thing. You've got a corner that I love, okay? So what I'm saying to you is he may not even have to be your number one. That's a beautiful thing, okay? Because you've got interchangeable guys. You might have a 1A, 1B out at the cornerback position. And if that is in fact the case, if Byron Jones comes over there and does what he did in Dallas, and a lot of what he did in Dallas was the fact that teams just stayed away from him. One, because he was good, but two, why even bother when I can just attack the second and third corner on the other side of the field? They're not all that good. I'll go after Brown or I'll go after one of these other guys, Jordan Lewis. I'll go after one of those guys. So we're going to find out how good he is because teams are going to go away from your other corner who's really good, and they're going to, Xavier Howard, okay? And they're going to go after Byron Jones and test him because these AFC teams don't know him. They don't respect him like the NFC teams did. So he's going to get some targets. Want to see how he does. You got a talented football player. How does he mesh with this defense? Are you getting enough pressure on the quarterback? That's a problem you have in Miami right now. Because I don't give a damn how good your corners are. You're not getting to the quarterback, and the quarterback has 5 seconds to throw. Somebody's getting open. So, like the moves, though. Like Van Noy, and I like the move of Byron Jones. Do I love it? I don't know. That's to be determined. TBA. But TBD, excuse me. But I do love the move of Kyle Van Noy. That's a double whammy. Add in a guy that your head coach, Brian Flores, is very familiar with, as he was the backers coach in New England for many years, knows exactly how to use Kyle Van Noy and get the most out of him. And then you're trying to change the culture. That's a guy that's going to help you do that. And then you're weakening the New England Patriots by taking away one of their prized linebackers. So I think that's a really good move there. Got another super chat. This one from Vlasic. Thank you for the super chat, Vlasic. Let's see if this super chat is a classic from Vlasic. He writes, Desmond Trufant, Logan Ryan, Chris Harris, and Ronald Darby on the streets. If we went after cornerback, who should it be? If I had to choose out of those three, you know where I would go. All right. I've told you my preference already, Chris Harris Jr. But Desmond Trufant is interesting. He's been banged up of late. I don't know if he's the same guy that he was early in his career when he was a really good corner, almost on the precipice of being elite. He's taken a step back due to injuries. Don't know where he is right now, health-wise and skill-wise. Has he diminished any? All right. He's interesting, though, is Desmond Trufant. I'm good on Ronald Darby. Too many injuries in Philadelphia. Saw him up close and personal. He's solid, not blown away by his talent. I'm good on Ronald Darby. I'll pass. Saw that one up close and personal for enough years to know too many injuries and too inconsistent. I'm good. Now, Logan Ryan is interesting. Talked to some Titans fans that said he's actually better on the outside than he was inside. So really don't know where you go with Logan Ryan. But anyway, solid football player. But he's also getting up there in age. And I can tell you this. Chris Harris Jr. hasn't diminished in terms of his skill set, even though he's up there in age. Cannot say the same for Logan Ryan. Don't really know if he's still in the type of form that you're looking for to pay a guy a big deal or not. But Desmond Trufant out of that group, after you get past Chris Harris Jr., of course, is the interesting name for me out of that group. And Trufant was just released yesterday. So that's another name to throw, along with Xavier Rhodes, to throw into that cornerback free agency pot that, you know, the Redskins, I think, are going to ultimately take a scoop out of and pour into their bowl eventually before it's all said and done. Got another super chat. This one from Loco Jackson YT. Thank you for the super chat, Loco Jackson YT. Really appreciate it. Loco Jackson YT writes, What do you think about Trent Williams in a fourth and a seventh 2020 round pick? In exchange, we get Stefon Diggs, a 2026 round pick, or Denzel Ward. Okay, so I want to stop the Denzel Ward conversation right now. The Browns are not, I repeat, not giving up on Denzel Ward, and they're not trading him. Okay, he's looked upon as a cornerstone of that defense. They just spent a first round pick on him last year. Okay, they aren't moving off of Denzel Ward, so you can stop bringing him up. Now, as far as Stefon Diggs is concerned, Trent, a fourth and a seventh for Stefon and a sixth. That sounds about right. If I'm the Vikings, that sounds about right. Maybe that seventh is a conditional sixth. So it has a chance if Trent plays. Let's say they put in a provision in that deal where if Trent plays in 14 or more games, that seventh round pick turns into a 2021 sixth round pick. All right. I could see something like that taking place. Again, you have to find out the particulars about Stefon Diggs' deal in Minnesota. And does it benefit them to move on from him? I think that's where the hang-up would be in any deal trying to get Stefon Diggs, which is why I don't think he's going anywhere and leaving Minnesota. But we will see. Once again, thank you, Loco Jackson YT, for the super chat. Got another super chat. This one from Martin Matthews. Thank you for the super chat, Martin Matthews. Double up, for my man, Double M. Appreciate the super chat, Martin Matthews. Greatly appreciate it. My man Martin writes, Hey, Louie, how many wide receivers do you think the Skins will carry? I asked that because I feel the next wide receiver or running back will have to play special teams because you can't keep Sims running back kicks. I think you're right. Whomever is at the back end of the roster, at either running back or wide receiver, going to have to play specials. That's a fact. I think the Redskins are going to keep 5 receivers. That's the going rate in the league right now. I think that's now again, what Ron Rivera did in Carolina. I wasn't privy to that, so I'm assuming just like most of the league, probably 95% of the league keeps 5 receivers on their roster. As far as running backs are concerned, he had Christian McCaffrey, Mr. Do It All. So I don't know if that allowed him to, keep 3 backs instead of 4. Some teams go with 3 backs, like the Redskins. Other teams go with 4. And the Redskins at one point had 4 backs on their roster. It's hard to really say what his philosophy is. We'll find out a lot about Ron Rivera year 1. We'll get a feel for what he likes to do, how he likes to run his show, how he likes his roster to be filled out. We'll learn a lot of things here in the next few months. But as of right now, the only thing I can say is you're right. The next receiver that's signed, whether it's a rookie or it's a veteran, probably going to have to play some specials. If that guy's not playing specials, let's say you go out and get Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is not playing specials. If that's the case, then one of these other receivers is going to have to play specials. I think Kelvin Harmon's already on specials. He's going to have to continue to do that. So we'll see about that. Got another super chat. This one from my man, Chris Lou. Again, that's your 3rd one of the night. If I'm not mistaken, might be your 4th. Either way, I see you, Chris Lou. Thank you for the super chat. Chris writes, I read Alex Smith can be offered a job in the front office. I like the image he reflects, but from a contract standpoint, is that possible? Would you like it? Nah. First of all, he wants to play. I don't think he wants to go into the front office. Not yet, at least. I don't even know if he's any good at that. And I don't know what his job title would be, what he would be asked to do. But, if he were willing to take a, consulting job in the front office, where he's working with the players or something like that, that'd be pretty cool. But we don't know Alex Smith, the talent evaluator, or if this guy's any good at personnel or anything like that. I think he's good with the players. Every guy that's worked with Alex Smith has had nothing but glowing things to say about him, whether it's Patrick Mahomes or it's Dwayne Haskins. So from that standpoint, he's a great guy in the locker room, but I don't know what the contractual situation is. I know the Redskins can't get from underneath that contract without a harsh penalty until next year. So I don't see the Redskins doing anything with him contractually or, trying to make him into a front office guy as of right now. But, things could change. It's a fluid situation. We don't know. He may ultimately decide to retire. And then the Redskins could say, hey, how about coming in and working with us, Alex, and staying close to the team? And he could say, yeah, I want to stay around the game. I really love it. I want to stay connected and, something could happen there. But as of right now, I don't see that being the case. Thanks again for the super chat, Chris Lou. Vincent Cole, double up, for my man Vincent Cole. Appreciate the super chat, Cole. And my man Vince writes, Skins family member Eagles signed Javon Hargrave. I saw that. The former Pittsburgh Steeler, South Carolina State draftee Javon Hargrave, now a Philadelphia Eagle. And he's a hell of a football player. A big body in the middle. With some quickness and athleticism, he'll fit right into that talented Eagles defensive front. Bars, HTTR 95, thank you for the super chat. Bars, HTTR 95. Bars writes, Louie, Diggs wants to be a Skin since last year. Tell us how you really feel. No political BS. You like Diggs. No, I love the football player Diggs. But there is a little bit of that chicanery that goes on socials. There is the subs that you get from him, the sideline outbursts when he doesn't get the football, him throwing his helmet and all that stuff. That's unnecessary. It really is. But I think if he got back to Washington, it would be great early on. But then if he starts to be frustrated, what happens then? Does he want out? Is he subbing on socials once again? Is he throwing guys under the bus? I don't know. It doesn't sound like he loves Kirk Cousins. And that may not even be the case. But it sounds like he's not a huge Kirk Cousins fan. And if that is in fact the case, what happens if he gets here and Dwayne's not what he thought? Is he going to blow up? Is he going to be subtweeting? And that's the thing you just don't know. But I think the guy's a hell of a football player. I told you this before. I wanted Diggs in that draft. That 2016, I think it was 2015 draft. I believe it was. When we drafted Jamison Crowder. I didn't want Jamison Crowder. I wanted Stefon Diggs. We blew that. Got another super chat. This one from Kelvin Briscoe. Kelvin Briscoe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Kelvin Briscoe writes, any cornerbacks with our picks in the draft, if nothing in free agency? Yeah, I think you could see the Redskins go with a cornerback or two in the draft. It just depends on what free agency brings. And like I said, a lot of time left in free agency. It's just the first day of the tampering period. The new league year hasn't even officially started yet. There's plenty of corners out there. There's a number of other guys at other positions that the Redskins may be taking a look at. And so before it's all said and done, there will be more signings by the Redskins. They may not be, major impactful signings, but there'll be more signings. And that will alter the Redskins' draft plans. You'd have to think. So we'll see what happens. If they don't do anything in free agency, then they're definitely going to do something in the draft. When and where, can't tell you. But if they don't take a corner in free agency, if they don't go out and sign a corner in free agency, at least one, then that becomes a major need heading into the draft. So I assume that they're going to get someone in free agency. I still feel that way, and I'm not going to move off of that. So thank you for the super chat, Chris Lou, once again. That is the last super chat. Got a phone call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
B.E.
What's up, B.E.?
So first off, I watched the video earlier. And yes, I was banging the table for David Johnson because back in 2016, David Johnson was one of the best, if not the best. And then on the running back drafting you did, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Last week.
And I said, personally, I would not re-sign Kenyon Drake due to the fact of what it might cost.
Right.
With what we had David Johnson as.
Mm-hmm.
I did not throw into the account of the transition tag. Mm-hmm. I didn't think Arizona would do that. I thought they would do an offer sheet or an offer to him, and if he took it, he took it. If he didn't, he didn't.
Right.
Because from what I've read and heard, we can match it, but if we don't match it, we don't get any compensation for it. So I did not come to the account of, the transition tag.
Right.
Now, with David Johnson being traded, first off, I didn't think this trade would happen in terms of what went down. From what I've known and read, if it would have been just a normal trade, we still would have taken, I think, like a $7 or $8 million cap hit.
Right.
But now with the Texans taking all of his cap and us getting DeAndre Hopkins, this is just a whole different picture.
Right.
Because who thought the Texans would trade DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, like I said on the video, man, I didn't really get wind of it until this morning where I saw a tweet from someone saying that the Texans are really considering moving DeAndre Hopkins because they need more draft capital. I dismissed it. I'm like, no way, they're not trading him.
Yeah, and then I was at work and we were completely dead, so I was just on my phone on Twitter, just looking at all the tweets and all the free agency stuff, and I thought, DeAndre Hopkins possibly being traded for a second and a fourth, this, that, and the third. I was just like, a second and fourth for DeAndre Hopkins? No, like, Texans are stupid, but they're not that stupid.
Right. I was amazed.
It was like, I think there was a tweet, I forgot who it was from, stating that the Texans are one of the 4 teams interested in David Johnson. And we're in talks with David Johnson, or with the Cardinals for David Johnson. Mm-hmm. And then it came out that, I think like 15 minutes later, that David Johnson was traded to the Texans. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. What did we have to give up for them to take his contract? Or, just the little logistics of it.
Right.
And then it was that the Texans are taking his entire contract. I was like, okay, I'm assuming we probably had to give up a second or a third for them to do that. Because it's still, I think, $20 million, or two. It's like he's going into his second year of a $39 million contract. So
right.
I'm not sure how much was still owed.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is going to be very interesting. And then to find out we got DeAndre Hopkins and their fourth, I was just like, okay.
Right.
Basically, how I'm looking at the trade was just cancel out the fourth, just
right.
because they're just going to offset each other.
Right.
We basically gave David Johnson and a second to the Texans for them to take his entire contract, and they gave us DeAndre Hopkins.
And I mean, it's insane. I mean,
and I'm just like,
blown away.
I'm just like, how? That's just.
It's gotta. I keep wanting to give Bill O'Brien the benefit of the doubt. Like there had to be something going on behind the scenes, and the report was, well, he was demanding more money on his contract, and we'll see if Arizona gives him any new money or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't care if he was demanding anything. You can't give away a guy like DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly. You don't give. Oh wait, and he's 20? I think he's 27 or 28.
Yeah, he's not that old, man. He's got a lot of good football left.
He's in his prime.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good football left. It's
amazing. Now this whole thing with Arizona completely changes it. It's a long shot. I don't think we're going receiver now in the first round. We possibly still could.
I
don't see it though.
I doubt
it. Personally, what I would do is, if we're able to go after Brian Bulaga to shore up our right tackle spot on 2-3 year deal or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Either if Isaiah Simmons is there at 8, take Isaiah Simmons. Because from people I talk to, that kind of do reporting and all that, apparently Jadeveon Kinlaw is moving up draft boards.
Mm-hmm.
If they're in love with Jadeveon Kinlaw, take him as your defensive tackle. I think he's a DT or a defensive end. Shore up your defensive line or trade back, acquire more picks.
It's going to be really interesting. You guys and the Browns, with how aggressive the Browns have been and now how aggressive you've been this offseason, re-signing some of your own and now pulling off this blockbuster deal. You guys have some flexibility. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You came into this offseason saying, all right, we're probably going to have to do this. Now you don't have to do anything. That pick really is best player available if you want it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've put yourself in a really good spot by making this deal because it felt like, all right, they got to go get the receiver. If it's not a tackle, they got to go get the receiver. You're one more signing away, as you just mentioned, like a Brian Bulaga, for instance. It's a great pull by you. Like, you're one signing away from being able to do whatever the hell you want to do with that pick in the first round.
And I was talking to some people, too. If we look at it just solely on offense, we are a playoff team. Yeah. We just need maybe one or two pieces here on defense, and I think we're going to we could easily make a push for the playoffs this year.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch and see what happens, man. I'm
kind of interested to see if Hard Knocks comes to Arizona this year.
Could. It definitely could, man. Hey, BE, man, I appreciate you chiming in, man. You have a good one, and congratulations on your steal, man. You should have a gun and a mask because y'all stole today, man. Y'all out here robbing folks.
It was actually funny. Before I let you go, I was on Twitter when I saw that blow up. I just started screaming at work. And a few of the people I work with came running to the back on drive-thru because I worked at McDonald's. They're like, what the fuck happened? What the hell happened? I was like, Cardinals just got DeAndre Hopkins. They're like, no, they didn't. I was like, look that shit up. They looked at it, they're like, holy fuck, you're right.
It was insane, hard to believe, and it's still almost hard to process. But again,
I still don't. Like, it's funny. There's so many pictures out there of people on Madden making the same exact trade on Madden that happened in IRL, and it's not even happened in Madden.
Yeah, because it's insane. It doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't at all. But ABE, man, thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care.
Yep. That trade is still hard to fathom. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Got another super chat. This one from Chris Lou. Again, thank you for the super chat, Chris Lou. Greatly appreciate it. Chris Lou writes, Kyle Smith for GM. Thanks again. I'm off. It's 2 a.m. here. LOL. Get you some sleep, man. Appreciate all of the super chats and the phone call, Chris. And go get you some rest, man. Get you some sleep. All right. So, wow. Raiders sign Marcus Mariota. So that happened. Kyle Van Noy, since we were up here, signed with the Dolphins. So that happened. So that's a big 4-year, $51 million deal for Kyle Van Noy. Jimmy Graham, I talked about the 2-year, $16 million deal, 9 of it guaranteed. Van Noy, 4 years, $51 million. Good for him. Wow. Mariota to Oakland. That is intriguing, to say the least. And what does that mean for Derek Carr? I have no idea, but I can tell you this much. They didn't do that just for show. All right? They did not do that just for show. Anyhow, let's see. Got a call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, how you doing, Louie? This is James again, man. What's up with you?
What's going on, James?
Hey, I ain't really here to talk about these trades and stuff. I just want to talk Redskins football. Why is everybody so down on my man Dwayne? And I love Dwayne. You know, Dwayne, he got promise, man.
I mean, it just comes with the territory of being a quarterback. I mean, he's done some things that have put himself in a not too great position, but at the same time, the Redskins have done some things that have put him in a compromising position. At the end of the day, he's just got to go out and prove it, man. That's it. If people going to talk, they're going to say what they want to say. The way you shut them up is by going out and balling.
Yeah, but only thing I'm skeptical on for real is we haven't made a lot of big free agency signings. And that's kind of making me feel like, man, they might do something, man, in the draft, man, and do something stupid like trade back or something. Man, that'd be the dumbest shit. And I just want them to pick who they supposed to pick and go on and do their thing, man. I think you just can't pass on this guy. You got to take him. But the way they ain't getting nobody is making me think that they're going to do something stupid.
Hey, relax, man. It's the first day. All right, it's day one. It's a lot of players still out there, man. Don't be fooled into thinking if you don't get a bunch of big signings in day one that you're not doing your due diligence or you're not going to be able to get quality football players. There's a lot of quality football players still out there.
Right about that. That's true.
Gotta relax. Allow the system to play out, man. And again, if you're all in on Ron, let him do his thing. If Ron and Kyle, let them do what they do.
Yeah, I know, because they got a good track record, man, especially Kyle. Yep. Kyle, he's the only thing worth anything in the office before they fired everybody.
Right.
I guess that's why they kept him.
Yep, I agree. Hey, man, I appreciate you chiming in, man. Take care. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, Louie, man.
No
Keep
doubt.
doing your thing.
Take care.
All right.
All right. Let's see. All right. Let's read some comments. We got another call coming in, though, so I'm going to take that. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
John again, man. I just got to ask you this question. Did you hear about Dez Bryant coming back to the Cowboys?
Yeah, I've heard about it. They talked about it during the combine, and Dez has been tweeting here and there. Jerry Jones said, he was open to the idea of it. It could happen. I don't think he's done in the league. I think he'll get one more shot, whether it's in Dallas or somewhere else.
Okay, then let me ask you a question. Do you think we should sign for our backup quarterback, Kaepernick? Somebody like that?
No, I don't think you sign Kaepernick. And the reason you don't sign him is because if anything goes wrong with Dwayne, say Dwayne sprains his ankle like he did against the Giants and he got to miss 2 weeks. And let's say he wasn't playing all that great before he got injured. And Kaepernick comes in, plays really well. Now you got a quarterback controversy on your hands. You just don't need that.
Okay. I was thinking,
Yep.
I'm a Redskins fan, and I was just thinking about, should we give him another chance?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As to come to the league and play. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think he's gonna play in the league again. I really don't. So.
Okay, I appreciate that, man.
Hey, no doubt, John, man. You take it easy.
All right.
Yep. All right, let's see. Let's see. Where did we leave off on the comments? I think we were right here. Okay, now we were up here because I see some comments I haven't read yet. All right, so we're going to keep going up. And I think we were right around here. Robert Gamble Jr. says, what are the Redskins doing? Nothing right now, Robert. They're being patient, okay? Lakers Live 23 says, Robbie Anderson or no? I like Robbie Anderson. Let's see how much money Robbie Anderson is going to command. No wide receiver has been signed yet. No big-name receiver. So until somebody signs and sets the market, it's kind of hard to say what kind of money is going to be dished out to these receivers. So I don't know if you see a guy like Robbie Anderson get, broken off or not. I still think he's going to end up being one of the higher-priced wide receivers. Amari Cooper, I think, is what you're waiting on. If you're all these receivers and you're all these agents out there, you're waiting on Amari to sign to kind of see where the bar is, and then you kind of play off of that. So until Amari Cooper does something, I think you're going to not see too many receivers sign quite yet. SP says, something is finally happening. We'll see. It's one of those situations where you got to wait and see. Gregory Lightbody says, why aren't the Redskins doing anything in free agency? Again, they're being patient. You have to be patient. See what happens. You can't go overboard on day one of free agency, okay? I really feel bad because a lot of you were drinking that offseason Kool-Aid. Like, man, Austin Hooper and Byron Jones and James Bradbury and Amari Cooper. We're going to get so many guys. And that's not Ron Rivera. That's never been the way he's been wired. I told you guys that, So he's showing who he is. He's conservative in free agency. Let's see what happens. Maybe for the best. Sometimes, a wise man once told me this. Sometimes the best deal is the deal you don't make. We'll see if that rings true or not. All right. Got a super chat. Gonna go ahead and read that. From my man BD, Barrett Downing. Thank you for the super chat, BD. Greatly appreciated as always. Double up, for my man BD. Says, any QBs in the XFL that you might want to take a look at? No, there's not. XFL QBs are in the XFL for a reason, generally speaking. Every now and again, and this is like once every 2 decades, there'll be a Kurt Warner somewhere where he doesn't belong and he'll be discovered. I watched just about every XFL team. Didn't see a single quarterback that I said, man, he deserves a shot in the league. All right. And even if somebody did come from the XFL ranks as a quarterback, it wouldn't be for anything more than a backup role. I didn't see one guy that I was like, man, he deserves to have a chance to start in the NFL. I didn't see that. So thank you for the super chat, BD. Greatly appreciate it. Got a call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
What's going on, Lou? It's Taylor. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, Taylor, man? How you been?
Yeah, man. This whole free agency, I saw it coming.
Yep.
Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure Ron is not going to go balls to the wall crazy, but
Right.
I was really kind of surprised that we didn't at least make a run at Bradbury or Jones, but, I mean, it is what it is. So,
And that's it's not a guarantee that we didn't. They might just have been outbidded for those guys' services. Like the Redskins might have said, "Look, Bradbury, we got you at $14 million, not a cent more. And if you can get more than that, good for you. Go right ahead." And they could have said with Byron Jones, I knew they weren't going to go after him because they knew Byron Jones was going to be the guy that got paid the most. And there was a bunch of reports just like 3 days ago or so that said the Redskins aren't going to go heavy after the cornerback position. They're just not going to spend a lot of money on it. They don't think that their cornerback position is as dire as a lot of people think. So again, a lot of what this free agency period is revealing to us, and it's early again, and I thought that this could happen where we were kind of conservative in our approach. But what we're finding out little by little is how Ron feels about this roster, because we still really don't know how he truly feels about this roster. We only can assume off of what we've seen from these players, but keep in mind that's under a different scheme with a different set of coaches. And so he may look at these guys and say, hey, these guys are being used wrong. If we put them in better positions, these guys are good football players. So
Exactly. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised, as you said earlier, that the day 2, maybe day 3 guys that are like in the back that are still serviceable or anything like that, like maybe a Trey Boston. I would not be surprised if we go out and like snag, say, an Emmanuel Sanders, which I think would be great because he's a very good route runner and he can mentor, say, Terry even more, to be more like a pro, as you said before, and maybe a Chris Harris Jr. Like, as he knows Jack Del Rio. Honestly, I would probably keep him inside and just roll with maybe Dunny and Fabian, and who knows, like, he made us depend on the draft, and knowing Ron, he's had a very good track record with the draft, and I'm pretty sure he's going to probably put a lot of stock in his first draft with us. So, and on the signings of Bostic, I was actually relieved that we actually kind of got him back because I actually liked him. I wouldn't be surprised if he challenges Holcomb for the middle linebacker spot, even though he's a 3-4 guy. I can see him being in the middle because you don't got to really worry about covering as much ground, especially on one-on-ones. Because Bostic, I think he's kind of fast, but he's not really a guy you want to have in coverage.
Right.
So, and like I said, I really, really hope Reuben Foster does end up playing in the burgundy and gold because he's just got so much talent.
Yeah.
And plus, like, obviously, the Bam boys, they all would feed off each other.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see, man. I mean, I'm not 100% sure we even would want to even bring an Amari Cooper here. And I'm not buying into that Stefon Diggs stuff.
Yep. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, Taylor. Don't do it.
Exactly. I'm not falling for any of that. When I saw that cryptic message, I just laughed. I'm like, guys, he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not going to come to D.C.
Right.
There's no way. Maybe his brother in the draft, I don't know, but he's personally not going to get out of that contract.
Yeah, I don't see the Vikings trading him. I don't. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them. But I don't know if he raises enough cane, maybe they decide, look, he's not worth the headache. Let's get him out of here.
Exactly.
So,
and I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Okay, so what do you ultimately think we're going to do with Trent Williams? And is it going to be for a straight-up player at this point, or is it going to be for draft capital? And what team do you think is going to take the bite?
Right now, I still think he gets traded. I think that if the Browns aren't able... Now, this is the thing. They got their right tackle, and they're in a position where they can draft the left tackle in the draft at I think they're number 8, I believe, 8 or 10, somewhere in there, 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that.
They're in a position to draft the left tackle. So technically speaking, they don't have to do anything. Had they not gotten Jack Conklin, they may have been a little bit more desperate to maybe go after Trent. But being that they signed Jack Conklin, I don't know if the Browns are really interested. I've said this since he's been put on the market. The team that I feel like makes the most sense if they don't get Andrew Whitworth back is the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm sticking with the Rams. They need a left tackle if Andrew Whitworth isn't brought back. How much money do they have to sign him? And you know, they still got to sign Jalen Ramsey and all that stuff if they haven't already done so. I don't remember if they did or not, but I don't know. They're looking to trade Brandon Cooks. I've heard, you know, he can't stay anywhere, it seems like. So
yeah, which is weird because he's actually a very good player. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having Cooks for a little bit. I wouldn't mind it.
He's got concussion issues too. I think that's another reason they're looking to get.
That's what worries me. Of course, we just had to deal with the whole Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis concussion problem, so that's kind of
want to steer clear of that. But
yeah, man,
I'm gonna go with that.
Like I said, first time caller, man, and I never see you in the gym anymore. But I mean, right now, obviously the coronavirus is going around, so they've shut down all the Ys. Yeah, I'm basically on paid leave. But
that's awesome.
Man, we got to get up sometime soon, bro.
Sounds good, man. You take care of yourself.
Yeah, all right, buddy. HTTR.
Likewise. All right. So, got a couple of super chats. Someone just threw out a couple of signings. Will Ford, thank you for that. Bills signed A.J. Klein, 3 years, $18 million. Ex-New Orleans Saints and Carolina Panthers inside backer. And Captain Gaming says the Seahawks are re-signing Jerron Reed to a 2-year, $23 million deal. So that's a good move for them as well. Got a couple of super chats, though, here, so I'm going to knock these out. Bro, thank you for the super chat. All right? Bro, greatly appreciate the super chat. That's a really simple name, Bro. Bro writes, Redskins are looking very dry in free agency. In early parts, yeah, it's early, though. You know? I'm not going to panic, as I've tried to instill that into you guys. Do not panic. Don't overreact. It's early, okay? Breathe. Deep breath. Exhale. Breathe. It's okay. It's all right. But I appreciate the super chat, bro. Thank you for the super chat. My man Santiago Tradell, once again. Double up. You on like triple or four, and you called in. So I'm going to go ahead and flash the fours for you, Santiago. Appreciate the super chat. He says, did you see Kirk's extension? I did. And I talked about it on socials this morning when it happened. I also, I called out, and I'm not going to do it here because she's probably not here, or he. I think it's a female. But there was someone in the chat, and we're going to revisit that when I see her in the chat or him in the chat. That said she wanted to bet me all of the super chat money I had that night. And I said, I'm tempted to do it because I know Kirk's going to get an extension in Minnesota, but I'm not going to do it. But he's going to get an extension. Watch. She said, he's not getting an extension. He got an extension. So, you know, I told you, when I'm wrong, you know, I'll admit. But when I'm right, you going to hear it. And I was right. So, in any event, got a call, gonna go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man Louie T, who am I speaking with?
I'm tempted to do it. What's going on, Lou?
All right, you got your monitor up way too loud in the background. Turn that down.
I just turned it down, bro. What's going on? This is your boy Rocksteady from South Carolina.
Hey, what's going on, Rocksteady?
Ain't nothing much, man. I ain't talked to you in a minute, man. Your phone is hotter than a hooker on NBA All-Star night, man. I can't even hardly get it. I've been trying to reach you about 2 weeks.
Hey, it be like that sometimes, man.
Yeah, man, but I'm not going to keep you long because I know it's late, but I had one question. The forgotten man, Mr. Irrelevant, Trey Quinn. Mm-hmm. What do you think about him, and what do you think about the plan for Trey Quinn?
You know what? I've always liked Trey Quinn, and I know a lot of Redskins fans can't stand Trey Quinn. And he is a guy that I feel like we put a lot on him because we had nothing at receiver. And Jay, you know how Jay is. Jay finds a guy that he really likes, And Jay seems to, flock towards that guy and always speak very highly of him, and you don't get a lot of production. He did the same thing with Ryan Grant. And he did the same. He was doing the same thing with Trey Quinn. That was his guy. I like Trey. We've seen when Trey's on that Dallas game on Thanksgiving, how he can be a really good football player, but he's limited. He's not fast. He's not dynamic, but I think in the right system, Trey Quinn could be a solid NFL football player. But when you look at what the Redskins are doing at the receiver position, they're getting faster, they're getting bigger. He doesn't really fit any of that criteria. And, Steven Sims coming in last year at the end of the season and playing as well as he did really made a guy like Trey Quinn expendable. So I feel like Trey's got to really come with it this offseason and into camp, or he's running the risk of not being on this roster.
Okay, so that's what I was curious about, because I haven't heard anybody mention him. I haven't heard anybody talking to him. So I said, you know what, let me give a little call and see what he thought about it. And have you heard anything regarding him?
I haven't. I mean, again, and this is what I've been echoing all night, and we don't really know what Ron Rivera thinks of a lot of guys on this roster. We don't, and the media hasn't really asked him specifically about certain players. And I don't know if he would give you an honest answer anyway, because, you don't want to show your hand. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of guys like a Trey Quinn on this roster, like a Monte Nicholson, where we're just really not sure where these guys stand at this point, And so you just got to kind of wait and see what they decide to do with these guys. And I think you get a sense of how they really feel about that particular position and some of these players by the moves they either make or don't make. If they don't make any moves at receiver, then they feel really good about their receivers. If they go out and get a receiver, then or you hear that they really tried it, but they just struck out and other teams outbid them, then they feel like they need to upgrade a little bit. So I think that's why I think it's imperative that we just continue to watch this entire process play out.
All right, and I agree with you, and to all the Redskins fans, relax.
Yes.
Relax. I'm waiting, man.
Yeah.
Man, we've been bad so long, and it can't get no worse than this. So I'm just going to chill out, sit back, and watch everything. And in closing, Lou, I appreciate everything that you do. Yep. I wish you the best of luck in what you're doing. And I'm going to let you go, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. You take care.
All right, you too, bro.
Yep. All right. Let's see what we do. All right, so let's try to go back up and figure out where we left off with these comments. Don't have any calls at this moment. All right, so we read all of those. We're here now. I read that one. Israel Lakeup says, what do you think about Bryce Love and his potential? Again, I don't know what post knee surgery Bryce Love looks like. So I know what pre-surgery Bryce looked like, and I was really excited about that. And I'm still excited about Bryce Love. But, it usually takes a guy a full year to come back from the injury. So I'm going to use this year as that year. Hopefully he's able to stay relatively healthy and get his legs back under him. And then I think in 2021 is when you'll really get to fully see what Bryce Love may be able to bring to the table if he, in fact, is able to stay healthy. Got a call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
No, it's Craig, man. What's going on?
What's going on, Craig?
Man, just sitting here watching you chop it up. Appreciate you giving us all the outlet to focus on some other things with all the craziness going on.
Hey, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Awesome, man. Well, giving you a buzz in just to kind of, I made a comment a couple minutes ago. Not sure if you got to see it or not, but, man, I'm a little worried.
I saw it.
Of course, we know what Tom Telesco does around these times. If anybody keeps up with the Chargers, probably sitting in his office on Groupon as we speak, not paying attention to anything for at least the first 2 days or so. But he's made some really awesome moves in the offseason, kind of uncharacteristic of him, really trimming the fat and opening up some cap space. But the more I sit here and stew on it, and the more I look at what's going around, man, I really, really hope we're not going after Tom Brady. The last thing I want is another immobile quarterback, 42 years old. I mean, the GOAT or not. I don't care about the ticket sales. I think we win games, we build a solid team, get a younger quarterback, and put some pieces around him. I mean, we have the offense. We can add some pieces to defense. I think we could make a really good turnaround here really quickly. But putting all the eggs in the Tom Brady basket is, I really don't think that's the way to go. Curious to see what you think about it.
Yeah, you know, what's funny is that they're not even mentioning the Chargers anymore in that Tom Brady sweepstakes. Like, it was amazing. When this thing first started, there were like 8 teams that were all in on Tom Brady. The Raiders and the Titans and the Bucks and the Patriots and the Chargers and the Colts. And there were all these teams. And now we get to the first day of the tampering period, and it's just down to 2. And it sounds like it's New England and it's Tampa Bay. And that's it. And I don't know how true that is. I don't know if the Chargers are really still interested or not. If it comes down to winning, I think that, you know, if he's still considering the Chargers and they're still considering him, that would be the best spot for him to go. I mean, this is a team that just, you know, a mere year and a half ago was a 12-4 football team that easily could have won the division, but instead ended up being a 5 seed and went on the road and won against Baltimore. Yeah. So, you know, you look at that's a team not far removed from being right back where Brady wants to be, whereas the Bucks, they've got a ton of talent on that football team and maybe better quarterbacking, and they're a double-digit win team. I don't doubt that after seeing what Jameis Winston has done for them. He's won them games. He's thrown them out of games. They could easily, you know, win 10, 11, 12 games if, you know, you get better quarterback play and everything falls right for them. But to me, it's always been New England. You know, I've heard all the reports. He's not getting along with Belichick, this, that, and the third. I don't buy any of it. I think when it's all said and done, they want him back. He may want to test the waters, but I think he's going to ultimately decide that the grass is not greener on the other side. Go back to New England, finish, you know, his career, finish what he started, and that be that. But so many people want to see him go somewhere else. And I heard that Tampa's going to roll out the red carpet for him. You know, and if they...
He's asking for a lot.
Yeah, he is. And, you know, it's one of those situations where for so long he's taken less so that they could win. And he's at that point now where he realizes this is my last payday. This is it. I'm not getting another one after this. So I'm not taking a pay cut. I'm not taking anything less. I'm not taking any hometown discounts. I need to get what I deserve. And I'll take it a step further. And this is something that we don't talk about a lot because, you know, people just don't think like this a lot of times. But Tom Brady was never that highly sought after. He wasn't highly recruited out of high school. He was a 6th round draft pick in the NFL draft, so wasn't anybody beating down his door to get them to join his team in the NFL. He's never really tested free agency. He's always been a company guy in New England. This is his first time really getting a chance to have people court him in any level, at any level, high school, college, you name it. He's going to take full advantage of this. He's going to ride it out. He's going to enjoy every minute of it. And then he's going to make a decision. And I think when it's all said and done, that decision is going to be back in New England.
You know, I'm more so on your side with that as well. Kind of been really on that level for the last few days, more so maybe about the last week or so, thinking that that was exactly what was going to happen. Because, I mean, of course, he really likes the courtship. He's not had that in his career. And I understand it completely. As far as what he's asking for, I'm alluding more so to the reports of the level of control that he's seeking. Now, of course, we know he wants to get paid because, you know, he's always taken a back seat to be a company guy, a team player. But the reports of him, you know, wanting, you know, input on personnel and
I haven't heard that one before. That's new to me. I said, I haven't heard that one before. That's new to me.
Yeah, I heard some reports here in the last few days about, you know, him seeking more input in the team, specifically on the offensive side of things and play calling and everything. I'm just like, okay, that's a lot to concede. I get it. You want to get paid. But to want to go somewhere and have control to that level, that's asking for a ton. But, I mean, as far as we're concerned, I'm not really interested in I get it. We're moving into a new stadium, and, you know, where the redheaded steps out there. Yeah. And ticket sales are huge, and you want to draw. Well, I mean, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, hell, I'm not even really huge on us getting Tua because of the injuries freak me out. But if we were to trade up and get Tua, that will get you the type of attention you're looking for. I mean, even if he's not playing year one, that'll be a draw. He's a big name. People will go to see that. I honestly would love to just get who we get, whoever that young QB is. I'm a Jordan Love developmental guy. Yeah. Tyrod Taylor's proven, and people really crap on Tyrod, and I don't get it. I mean, he had a bad situation there in Cleveland, but, I mean, Cleveland is Cleveland. You know how that works out. But the dude took, you know, a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in over a decade, you know, put them on his back. He managed it. They had a great running game, led by Anthony Lynn, of course, who he's under now, and a solid defense. And maybe it's just personal preference, man. I'm an old school football dude. I like great defense. I like to pound the ball and throw it where necessary. And that's what I would rather us do. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Tom Brady coming to my team after we've never been able to beat him is almost like Kevin Durant going to Golden State after, you know, being up on them and not being able to finish them off. And stuff. It's just not something I'm a fan of. But, I mean, you know, I think he'll ultimately go back. He's just, you know, wanting to dangle himself out there. He wants the Patriots to see that he's important, which really doesn't seem to be the case because his suitors are, you know, on the lower side. So I think he'll end up back in New England also, and just let him ride his career out and finish it there, man. But I appreciate the take, man, and keep listening to you here in a little bit.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you, man, as always, bro. Don't be a stranger, man.
No doubt, man. I'm around.
All right. Have a good one, Craig.
All right, Lou.
All right. So, let's get back to these comments. I actually have a couple of super chats, so let's knock those down. Matthew Manos, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Matthew Manos. Matthew writes, I think they let Trent test the market so he can see that nobody's biting, but in fact make him take less money just saying HTTR. He's not taking anything less than the $12.5 million he's due. And I don't think he's going to sign a long-term deal. I think Trent can get money out on the market, especially if he has a really good season this year. If he plays well, his free agency next year, he's going to make a boatload of money again. And that's what he's really aiming after, is one more massive deal. And whether that comes this year or it comes next year, he'd prefer it this year than next because, you know, the NFL stands for not for long. You don't want to put yourself at risk. You get injured and then all of a sudden there is no big payday coming your way. You'd like to lock that up now. But if it's not out there for him, if the trade isn't out there for him and the Redskins aren't willing to just give him away, which they shouldn't be, then he may have to suck it up, play for this 12.5. If he goes out, has a stellar year, he can hit the market next year, and he will make a big deal, whether the Redskins franchise him or not, whatever the case, he's going to get paid next season if he plays well this year. So we'll see what happens with Trent Williams, and I can tell you this, he's not taking anything less. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Whether he sees that there's a dwindling market for him or not, he's not taking less money. I can assure you of that right now. Redskins Bay 12th Man. Thank you for the super chat, Redskins Bay 12th Man. Greatly appreciate it. Redskins Bay writes, I'm beginning to believe we are going to sign Amari Cooper. You know what? It's funny you say that because I've been skeptical all along. I still am. I told you earlier in the show that I'd be very surprised if the Redskins went in that direction. I'm starting to really get the feeling that they're going to make a hard charge at him. Whether he wants to play for the Redskins or not is debatable. He's made it abundantly clear he'd like to stay in Dallas. But again, money talks, everything else walks. And if he can't get the deal he's looking for in Dallas and the Redskins come calling and they've got everything he's looking for and a bunch of his ex-teammates there, don't know how cool he is with any of those guys because most of them are on the defensive side of the football. But nonetheless, if he's interested, I'm starting to get that same feeling. Like, the reason they're really low-key right now is because they're not looking to spend a whole bunch of money on a bunch of guys. If they're going to spend money, it's going to be on one guy in particular, and I think that guy might be Amari Cooper. They may go, with some cheaper options at the cornerback position or tight end, but if they're going to spend big, I think it's going to be on one player and one in particular, and that guy may ultimately be Amari Cooper. I still don't believe it. I don't buy it, but I'm coming around to that thought that maybe they are really in heavy on Amari Cooper. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So, got another super chat. This one from Zach Magic. Thank you for the super chat, Zach Magic. Greatly appreciate it. Zach writes, are there any rumors about the Jets this year? Not really. It was interesting early in the offseason about the Le'Veon Bell stuff and was he getting along with, your head coach Adam Gase, and then there was the Jamal Adams situation, but it looks like that's starting to clean itself up with him looking to stay in New York with the Jets on a long-term deal. That looks more imminent than it did in the past. And not really much more coming out of the Jets. Last year they spent a bunch of money in free agency. They've been really quiet to start free agency this year. Doesn't mean they got a new GM, so it's a new day in New York with the Jets. They got Joe Douglas. We'll see what they decide to do with free agency. Do they just take a hard pass on free agency? Do they dip their toe in the water, maybe get a guy or two, and then really turn their attention to the draft? It'll be interesting to see what this approach looks like with Joe Douglas at the controls with the Jets. But right now, haven't heard a lot from the Jets on their front. But that doesn't mean we won't hear some things from the Jets before it's all said and done. Thank you for the super chat, Zach Magic. Ainsley Chance, thank you for the super chat, Ainsley Chance. You've been hard at it tonight. Greatly appreciate your contributions tonight, Ainsley Chance. Ainsley writes, this one's for you. Just go on a rant. By the way, just call me AC and shout out to Camden, New Jersey. Shout out to Camden, New Jersey. AC it is. All right. Appreciate that. And he says, this one's for me. I could just go on a rant. I don't really have a rant to necessarily go on. I don't have a soapbox that I need to get on top of and preach. I think I've said everything that I needed to say. You guys have done a really good job of asking questions that have gotten me to speak on it. Just about everything that I wanted to say. I will say that the whole Brady topic of conversation is interesting. Did not know he was looking for that kind of control. Ultimately, he's not going to get that in New England, which is maybe why he wants to go somewhere else where he can spread his wings a bit. I don't know. If he's really looking for that kind of control, he's definitely not getting that in New England. I don't know if that's a sticking point. I don't know if that's a deal breaker for him. If he can't get that control, he doesn't want to be in that particular organization. The Phillip Rivers to Indianapolis is interesting after they traded away their first round pick for let's check these comments to see if there are any more deals that have happened. But it's interesting to see what the Colts do at quarterback after trading away their first round pick. Because the consensus was, and the prevailing thought was, oh, they're going to go draft a young guy. Well, they may ultimately still do that, but they don't have a first round pick to do that now. And maybe they like someone that will be around in the second round, like a Jacob Eason. He'll probably still be around in the second round. Maybe they love Jacob Eason and feel like we can get him in the second. They've got 2 seconds. They got a really early second. So, a guy like Jacob Eason will definitely be there early stages of the second round, I firmly believe. So, we'll see what the Colts decide to do. That's a really interesting development there. Don't see any big signings. So, we'll get back to the comment section. Somebody I think is trying to troll me, and they even super chatted it to do me to try to do me. I don't have my Twitter pulled up. but I don't see any Stefon Diggs being traded. Somebody put that in the super chat. But yeah, I'm going to keep it moving. Let's go to Trevor Patch has the next super chat. Trevor writes, thank you for the super chat, first and foremost, Trevor. Thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch. Trevor writes, support, hashtag Louie T Network, hashtag HTTR 2020 off season. All right. Captain Gaming, and thank you again for that super chat. Captain Gaming says, breaking, Vikings trading Stefon Diggs to the Bills. I don't believe it. I haven't gotten any confirmation. I'm going to look it up online right now. Let's see if this is legit or not. I don't see anything. And I don't think it's happened. That my phone would have been blowing up right now. Okay, Jay Glazer. Bills have acquired Stefon Diggs in a trade from the Vikings. NFL on Fox. It is legit. My man Gaming. Let me give my credit to Gaming. Captain Gaming. Spot on. This is not fake news, folks. So we're getting breaking news here on the Louie T Network. I'm gonna give you the particulars to this deal right now as I'm looking at it on Twitter via Adam Schefter. And so Bills compensation. Bills are trading a first, a fifth, and a sixth. In 2021, let's see. A first, a fifth, and a sixth round pick, and a 2021 fourth round pick for Stefon Diggs, and a 2020 7th round pick. So Bills are essentially giving up about half of their draft this year, a pick next year, in exchange for one pick back in the 7th round this year, and Stefon Diggs. So the Bills are giving up a first, a fifth, and a sixth. So the back end of the draft, the big picture here, the big takeaway is the first round pick, which is a back end of the first round pick. So it's not killing you. It's not like they're drafting 7th. They're giving up a fifth and a sixth, and they're giving up a fourth in 2021 for the rights to Stefon Diggs and a 2020 7th round pick. Wow. There you have it. Stefon Diggs, now a Buffalo Bill. So I guess after this is done, I got another video to churn out, another blockbuster trade. Have we ever had an offseason with this many big-time NFL trades? This feels like the NBA offseason last year when all of these trades took place. This is insane. Let's see. Man, so that's real news, guys. DMV fan 123, thank you for the super chat, and greatly appreciate you confirming this. He says it's real. Stefon Diggs to the Bills. Damn it. I knew he wasn't coming to us, but that's a good get for the Bills, man. It really, really is. Yikes. Daily Grind, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Daily Grind, thank you so much for the super chat. Daily Grind writes, Derrick Henry resigned? No, he is actually franchise tagged. I did a video on all of the players that received the franchise tag. He was one of them. So technically, he hasn't been re-signed, but he's had the franchise tag slapped on him. So he is going to be a Tennessee Titan. Chris Lou says, Stefon Diggs to the Bills, man. Off to bed, LOL. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Lou. I really appreciate that. He says, look, that was the last straw. That one's going to take me out. I was hoping the Redskins would get Stefon Diggs. We've had a number of conversations about him tonight. And there it is. The Bills. Remember, the Bills were thirsty. Remember last offseason, they were poised to trade for Antonio Brown before he pretty much vetoed that trade by saying, I don't want to go to Buffalo. So they've been thirsty for help at the receiver position for a long time, and rightfully so. Their receivers leave a lot to be desired. Now entering Stefon Diggs, that's going to change everything. John Brown was good for them last year. He's a number 2 receiver, though. He's not a number 1. This is going to put everyone where they belong. John Brown is a number 2. Cole Beasley is a number 3. And now everything can kind of properly slot itself. I love this move for the Bills. It's a steep price to pay. But I struggle with it because you could have drafted your own guy. But essentially what they've said is we value Stefon Diggs as a first-round pick. Because, look, everybody wants all their picks, but you're not dying over a 5th and a 6th, okay? And a 4th next year. You can live without those picks. It's not like they gave up a 1st, 2nd, and a 3rd. All right? They gave up a 1st, a 5th, a 6th, and a 4th next year. So, essentially what they're saying is we value Stefon Diggs as a 1st, and he's better than any of these receivers that we would have a chance to draft at the back end of the 1st. Remember, the Bills were in the playoffs. So you're talking 22nd, 23rd, 24th pick. They're somewhere in that range. So they're viewing themselves out of the CeeDee Lamb, out of the Jerry Jeudy, and out of the Henry Ruggs market. So they're looking at the rest of these guys and saying, look, they're talented, but he's better than all of the rest of those guys in the draft. I don't have a problem with that. So, wow. What a move by the Bills. And for the Vikings, you remove this headache. He won it out. He's been very vocal. You're tired of doing the tit for tat back and forth with this guy. You move on from him. You pick up an additional 1st and a bunch of picks in the back end. And we know what the Vikings have done really well throughout the tenure of Rick Spielman is they've drafted very well. So they're going to take those picks and they're going to put themselves in a position to improve this roster. And they need to do the Minnesota Vikings. They need to. So very interesting move there. And I assume that they're going to take one of these first-round picks that they have, theirs or the Bills now, and spend it on a wide receiver. I can assure you of that. So, wow. What a move. Santiago Trudell with the super chat once again. Can't see you tonight, Santiago. Greatly appreciate the super chat. Santiago writes, appreciate you being here during this virus time. Hey, man, I'm here all the time, bruh. And I thank you guys for tuning in during this coronavirus time. Wow. That was a heck of a move. And the Bills got their man. So, with that being said, no more super chats. Pretty much read all the comments that needed to be read. We've hit our 2-hour mark. No more calls coming in. Wow. Stefon Diggs is a Buffalo Bill, and I've got some work to do. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me on this free agency special. We're going to be back multiple times this week as free agency is going to be crazy. If this is any indication of what's to come this free agency period, man, look out. Are we in for a treat? This day one has been insane. Massive trades, our third of the day. Not to mention Hayden Hurst getting traded to the Falcons and all of the other things that have transpired today. It's been wild. And it's only day one of the of the tampering period. We still haven't even been able to celebrate the Happy New Year. So it's crazy. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Thank you guys for all of your generous donations and your generosity tonight. Thank you for all the great comments. Thank you for breaking news. We had the Kyle Van Noy news break on the show. A Marcus Mariota news broke on the show. And obviously the biggest news since we have taken the air. Stefon Diggs being traded to the Buffalo Bills in exchange. Diggs will be attached with the 7th rounder in 2020. Meanwhile, the Bills sent a 1st, a 5th, a 6th, all in 2020, and a 4th in 2021. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. If it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Got a couple super chats. I will read these quickly, and then we'll get out of here. Santiago Trudell, once again, super chatting, says, Bills just got Diggs. We talked about that. Broke the news here. My man, I gotta shout him out one more time because he was the one. Captain Gaming, salute. You were the one that broke it here on the Louie T Network. I did not believe him initially, and I have been trolled that way before, so I was very cautious. Went online. It was there. Diggs to the Bills. Absolutely. And so that is a real thing. Chris Lou says, can we deal now with the Diggs, with the Vikings for Trent Williams? I mean, I don't really know if the Vikings are interested or not. I don't know if they're interested or not. Again, they're freeing up their own cap space. They don't have any money to really go and sign Trent to the deal he's looking for. They're trying to free up their own cap space, which is why they've made some of the moves, which is why they renegotiated with Kirk and extended him to lower that cap number. It's why they released Xavier Rhodes. It's why they've done some of the things they've done this offseason, because they're looking for cap. Right? They're strapped for cap, so can't see them really being in the market for a Trent Williams. And the Daily Grind, thank you for another super chat. Double up, from my man Daily Grind. Thank you for the super chat. Daily Grind says, that New York tax for Diggs, LOL, ouch. Hey, look, he wanted out. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. He got what he was looking for. Now let's see what happens. So that's it. I'm going to glide to the side. Thank you guys for all of your participation. It was a fantastic show. All the calls, all the super chats, all the comments, even the ones I didn't get to. Sorry if I wasn't able to get to your comment, but I thank you nonetheless for joining us tonight. And man, wow, Stefon Diggs to the Bills. I got some work to do. So I guess that means I will see you guys a little bit later. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one. Stefon Diggs is a Buffalo Bill. What the hell? Louie T Network.